You've been told that healing is the answer, that self-improvement will set you free, that if you just do enough therapy, read enough books, attend enough workshops, you'll finally be fixed. But what if I told you that your healing journey is just another way to stay broken? What if your obsession with growth is preventing actual growth? What if you're addicted to healing the same way others are addicted to staying wounded? Today we're exploring when self-improvement becomes self-destruction, and by the end, you'll question whether you're actually healing or just getting better at pretending. Let's start with what healing was supposed to be. A process with a beginning, middle, and end. You identify the wound. You process it. You integrate it. You move on. But that's not what you're doing. You've turned healing into an identity. You're not someone who is broken and healed. You're someone who is perpetually healing. Always in process. Never quite there. You've been in therapy for 5 years unpacking the same childhood trauma. You've read 50 self-help books still looking for the answer. You've tried every healing modality and you're already researching the next one. This isn't healing. This is avoidance disguised as progress. You're so busy healing that you never have to actually live. So focused on becoming whole that you never risk being seen as you are right now. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You're addicted to the process, not the outcome. The process gives you an excuse to stay small, stay safe, stay in perpetual preparation for a life you're terrified to actually live. Let's talk about what this addiction looks like. You can name your attachment style, your trauma responses, your triggers, your patterns. You have a vocabulary for every dysfunction. You can explain exactly why you are the way you are, but you're still the same way. You're just the same way with better language. You've upgraded your understanding without upgrading your behavior. You know why you self-sabotage, but you still do it. You understand your patterns, but you still repeat them. This is the trap of therapeutic literacy. You've learned to narrate your problems eloquently instead of solving them. You've become so good at explaining why you're stuck that being stuck feels like insight. And every time someone suggests you might be ready to move forward, you find another layer to process, another trauma to unpack, another wound to tend. You've created an infinite onion where there's always one more layer underneath. The truth? You don't want to heal. You want to be healing. Because being healed means no more excuses. Being whole means showing up fully. Being integrated means risking being seen without the shield of, I'm working on myself. Here's where it gets really uncomfortable. Your healing obsession makes you unavailable for actual relationships. You can't show up for others because you're always tending your own wounds. You can't handle conflict because you're too fragile from all the processing. You've made yourself so delicate through constant self-examination that you can't handle normal human friction. Every disagreement becomes a trigger. Every disappointment becomes trauma. Every challenge becomes a reason to retreat into more healing work. People around you learn quickly. Don't push them. Don't challenge them. Don't expect too much.
They're in their healing journey.
They're doing the work. They're too vulnerable for real engagement. This isn't healing. This is weaponizing fragility. You're using therapeutic language to avoid being strong enough for life. You've turned healing into a permanent excuse for why you can't fully participate in relationships, work, or anything requiring resilience. Real healing makes you stronger. What you're doing is making you weaker while calling it growth. You're cultivating fragility and calling it sensitivity. You're choosing avoidance and calling it self-care. Let's examine the economics of your healing addiction. You've spent thousands on therapy, workshops, courses, retreats, books, apps. You've invested more in healing than most people invest in their actual lives. And what do you have to show for it? More awareness of your problems. Better language for your dysfunction. Deeper understanding of why you're stuck. But are you less stuck? Or just stuck with better self-awareness? You're paying for the same revelation over and over in different packaging. Every new modality promises to be the one that finally works. Every new therapist might have the key. Every new framework could be your breakthrough. But here's what you're actually buying: permission to stay broken. Each new healing investment is proof you're working on it, which means you don't have to change yet. You're not avoiding growth, you're preparing for it. Forever preparing, never arriving. The healing industrial complex loves you. You're the perfect customer. Never satisfied, always seeking. Now let's talk about what you're avoiding. The real wound isn't what happened to you. The real wound is who you've become while avoiding dealing with what happened to you. You've spent years analyzing your past instead of building your future. Years understanding your trauma instead of transcending it. Years preparing to live instead of actually living. The healing has become the hiding. The self-work has become the self-avoidance. The growth obsession has become growth prevention. You're so busy becoming ready that you never have to risk being inadequate in the moment, because that's what you're really afraid of. Not your trauma, not your wounds, not your past. You're afraid that even after all this healing, all this work, all this investment, you might still not be enough. You might still fail. You might still get hurt. So you stay in healing, where effort counts more than results. Where trying is celebrated even when nothing changes. Here's the question nobody asks. What if you're already healed enough? What if you've been ready for years, but you're addicted to the preparation? What if the healing is the last defense against having to actually show up for your life? Real healing has an endpoint. Real growth leads to action. Real transformation means you eventually stop talking about becoming and start being. But you've created a version of healing that never ends, because ending would mean testing whether it worked. What if it worked years ago and you just didn't want to admit it, because then you'd have to stop hiding behind self-improvement? What if you're already whole enough, but wholeness requires vulnerability you're not ready for? The healing journey was supposed to prepare you for life, but you've turned it into a replacement for life. An alternative to risk. A substitute for being seen as you actually are, unfinished and imperfect and enough anyway. If you're feeling called out right now, good. Keep watching. So what does real healing look like? It looks like integration, not perpetual exploration. It looks like using what you've learned instead of always learning more. It looks like being strong enough to be vulnerable, not so fragile you need constant protection. Real healing means you eventually stop introducing yourself through your trauma. Stop explaining every behavior through your childhood. Stop using your wounds as your identity. You acknowledge what happened and then you build something beyond it. Real healing makes you resilient, not delicate. Whole, not perpetually broken. Strong enough to handle life's normal difficulties without retreating into more processing, more therapy, more healing work. Real healing has a graduation ceremony. You don't stay in school forever. You learn what you need to learn and then you go live your life with what you learned. The learning becomes the foundation, not the entire building. Comment graduated if you're ready to stop being a professional healer and start being a person who lives. Here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, stop consuming any healing content. No therapy, no self-help books, no workshops, no healing podcasts, nothing. Just live. Just show up. Just be who you are right now, with everything you already know, with all the healing you've already done. Test whether you're actually ready, or if you've been using preparation as procrastination. Your healing addiction will scream at you. It'll tell you you're not ready, that you need more work, that stopping now would waste everything you've invested. That's not truth. That's addiction. The question isn't whether you should heal. It's whether you're healing or hiding, growing or staying comfortable in the identity of someone who's growing, preparing for life or using preparation to avoid life. If this made you defensive, if you immediately thought of reasons why you need more healing work, if you felt resistance to the idea of stopping, that's not your wisdom. That's your addiction. Are you healing? Or are you just addicted to staying wounded with better vocabulary? Are you growing? Or are you comfortable being someone who's always growing, never arrived? Are you preparing for life? Or has preparation become your life? The healing was supposed to lead somewhere. It was supposed to make you strong enough to risk being hurt again, whole enough to give yourself completely, integrated enough to show up imperfectly, but you've made healing the destination instead of the vehicle. You've turned the medicine into the disease. You've made the cure your new addiction. So here's my question, and I want you to answer honestly. Are you healing? Or are you just addicted to the story of healing? Are you becoming whole? Or are you comfortable being perpetually broken with really good explanations? Are you preparing for life? Or has preparation become your favorite way to avoid it? If this made you uncomfortable, if you felt resistance, if you immediately wanted to defend your healing journey, sit with that. That discomfort isn't telling you to ignore this. It's telling you I'm right. Your healing might be complete. You might be ready. You might have been ready for years. The question is, are you brave enough to stop healing and start living? Or will you spend the rest of your life becoming ready for a life you never actually live? Comment ready if you're done preparing. Comment still healing if you're not. Let's see who's brave enough to admit where they really are.